Bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi Charlotte et aujourd'hui nous allons regarder un poème, ou au moins la première partie d'un poème qui s'appelle Les Bizarreries de la langue française. On y va? Hi everyone, my name's Charlotte and today we're going to look at a poem called The Oddities of the French Language. This is going to be part one of two. I did actually record this video the other day but had some issues getting it online and just thought I'd redo it. So it's a little bit different today in that I'm doing something I've never done before and it's a bit of a risk. So just down here you might see my little sleeping baby. La voilà, there she is. So if she wakes up, it might be that we have to redo this again, but anyway, I thought I'd take a chance. I've been waiting for her to sleep all morning. So she was in intensive care for 5 days. She's absolutely fine now. I was with her that whole time, but because of that, a couple of my language club videos have been delayed somewhat. We're now back at home. And ça va, everything's okay. Tu vas bien. So there you go. This is my second daughter, and it's just lovely being a mum and being with them both at home. So, but I'm still doing my language club videos, so therefore this is a trial. I don't intend for her to be here in my next videos, but I just thought I'll try redoing this now while she's asleep before I go and collect my other daughter from her nursery. So let's see. On va voir comment ça se passe. We'll see how it goes. So let's have a look. I've got the poem written up here. I've got the first half of the poem, so I think it takes us up to line 8. This is a poem that you can find, I believe, in like a Becherel French language textbook. That's quite a well-known book, and the purpose of it really is to identify and see and hear some French homonyms. So homonyms are words that are spelt in the same way as each other but which have different meanings, and in this case different pronunciation. So sometimes you might have words which are spelled the same and pronounced in the same way, but they have different meanings. But these ones here are spelt the same, pronounced differently, and have different meanings. So attention! And we'll see the second half of this video, all being well, later in October. So this is actually the September 2022 video for French. So, Les Bizarreries de la langue française. Les Bizarreries. So bizarrerie, lovely little word that one. It means peculiarity. It could mean oddity. Quite like the word oddity. So Oddities of the French language is basically what this poem is called. So taking in mind that title, Oddities of the French language, Les Bizarreries, bizarrerie from the word bizarre, which means odd or strange. So that noun there, bizarrerie, is derived from the adjective bizarre. De la, of the, la langue can mean tongue, but it also means language. Française, ici, or maybe easier for you to see in this actually. La langue française, we've got an E at the end there because Française is following and modifying la langue, which is a feminine noun. Hence the E at the end of français changes the pronunciation to from Française. If ever you're talking about a French woman, and you're saying she is a French woman, elle est française. You'll always say that when talking about a female. If you're talking about a chap, you'll say il est français. Same goes if you're talking about a French, a noun that's feminine in French. So, une voiture française, une maison française, etc. Okay, so feminine nouns, nouns that have been assigned the feminine gender, will have feminine adjective when you're describing them. So sometimes, like most of the time, that will include a spelling change and the pronunciation change. So other nationalities that have that change from e to is, for example, anglais becomes anglaise, la crème anglaise, that's what the French call custard, so la crème anglaise, la crème, that part that means cream, is a feminine noun. They call it English custard, so they say la crème anglaise instead of la crème anglais. Okay, I could go on and on about that. So, talking about oddities of the French language, en voici quelques exemples. En voici quelques exemples. Quelques exemples. So, quelques is some, exemple is examples. So, exemple is spelled in the French way, obviously, E-M-P-L-E, instead of A-M-P-L-E, like in English, example with an A, exemple with an E after the X. Okay? Quelques exemples, some examples. Voici means like here are, or see here. It basically means, it's a bit like voilà. En is a pronoun that's used with the preposition de. So, having before mentioned Les Bizarreries de la Langue Française, Oddities of the French language, this basically says, here are, voici, quelques exemples, some examples, des bizarreries de la langue française, of peculiarities of the French language. So, some examples of peculiarities of the French language. So, because it's talking about something that's been aforementioned, the second part, which I guess could or should come after a semicolon, is en voici, of them, here are some examples. You might also see that in answers, like for example, if someone says, do you have any children? Or how many children do you have? You might say, I might say, oui, j'en ai deux. Oui, j'en ai deux. And now I can say that, can't I? J'en ai deux. That means I have two of them. Two children. So you could just say, yes, I have two children. Oui, j'ai deux enfants. But if you just want to say, I've got two, I have two, and sort of not have to repeat the of them or two children, then you can say j'en ai deux. I'll show you that now. I can find the right pen. J'en ai deux. I have two. Haven't written on this board for a few weeks. Of them. So it's funny seeing the weird way that I write when I haven't written on there for a while. J'en ai deux. So instead of je and then ai, which would be I have, and then deux, which is two. Oui, j'ai deux enfants. You can say that. Yeah, I have two children. That's repeating the enfant from the question. Vous avez des enfants? I have two of them. Here the little en pronoun comes between the je pronoun, subject pronoun, I, and the verb avoir, to have, which is conjugated in accordance with je. So I have, and the en comes between these two parts, which creates that single syllable Jean, like the name Jean, et. So you separate the je and the et, pop in the little en. That's quite hard to do on the fly. J'en ai, and then deux, two. I of them have two. J'en ai deux, I have two. J'en ai trois, j'en ai quatre. Oui, j'en ai douzaine, quoi. I don't know, you could have loads of kids. So that little en is something that you see sometimes with, often coupled with or replacing the preposition de. Okay? Right. En voici quelques exemples. Here are some examples of the strange things about French language. So what we'll see here is that mostly we have words, homonyms. In each sentence there are two words, generally, one of which will be a verb, and one will be a noun or an adjective, and they'll look the same, but they'll be pronounced differently. Okay, let's have a look. Nous portions les portions. Nous portions les portions. Porter. Porter is a verb with lots of translations in English, so it's got different meanings depending on different contexts. Porter could be like to carry something. Je porte ce stylo. Voilà. Or it could be porter, to wear or to have on something, like clothing. Les lunettes, je porte les lunettes. I wear or I have on glasses. It could also be to bear, as in to bear the weight of something, or that's similar to carrying, porter. Think of the noun in English, porter, someone who takes something from one place to another. So check out that verb, porter, P-O-R-T-E-R. It's an ER verb, it's super common, it's really useful. So this is the new form of the verb porter, but it's not the present tense. That would be portons. Portons. So in the present tense, I haven't shut the window. I can hear a plane. Il y a un avion qui fait du bruit. Alors, excusez-moi pour ce bruit, mais je ne vais pas fermer la fenêtre en fait. Je peux pas qu'elle se réveille. La petite. I don't want the little one to wake up, so I won't open that window, shut the window because it's quite noisy. Okay, wish me luck. So, porter, the verb porter in the new form present tense would be nous portons. We are wearing, we're carrying, whatever the translation of the verb is, depending on the context. ONS is the ending for present tense verbs in the nous form. Once you take off the ending, ER from porter, you put ONS for new verbs in the present tense. This, however, is not the present indicative, it is the imperfect. Ions, I-O-N-S. Because this is following a subject pronoun, and I know it's the verb porter, even though it looks a bit different from ONS, you might be able to guess that that's a different tense. So if you remember, or you're familiar with, or you remember this from this tutorial, you can remember that that's the imperfect tense. That's a past tense that's continuous. So it translates, let's say it means to carry, okay, for the sake of ease. Nous portions would mean, instead of the present tense we carry or we are carrying, it would be the ongoing action in the past. So we were carrying something, le stylo, les stylos, whatever. Or alternatively, it could be an action that is repeated frequently in the past. So that translates into English as we used to. For example, if there were two of us here in the room and we both used to wear glasses but we don't anymore, we could say nous portions les lunettes. Mais maintenant, nous les portons pas. So you could clarify, like, but now we don't wear them. but before we used to wear them. Nous portions les lunettes. We used to. So it can either mean we were wearing or we used to. And that's the imperfect tense. So we've got subject pronoun nous, imperfect tense, portions, you pronounce the I, then it's followed by a plural noun, les portions, portions. So that's like the word in English, portion, a share, a part of something. Les portions. So, what's the difference here? So, they look exactly the same. Portions, portions. Les portions, nous portions. The reason I can remind myself that that's pronounced differently is because I can see that that's a verb. It follows a subject pronoun. Whereas this one here is a noun. I know it's a noun because it's preceded by the article, the plural article les, which means the. Okay? Portion. In French, when you have a T-I-O-N, it's pronounced sion. In English, we pronounce it shun, like action, portion, that kind of thing. But in French it's sion. Here, however, portillon. Okay, so ion, sion. Right. So we carry the portions. There's other ways that you could translate that. Les poules. Les poules. This is a type of animal. Poule sounds a bit like poulet. Poulet, chicken, or chicken meat. Poulette is like a little chick. Or you could have poussin. Poulette. Let me just check poulette. Maybe I'm creating that from my mind. Poulette. Poulette. No, it's a chick or a young hen. Okay, so yeah, okay, that makes sense. So poule is a hen, like a female chicken. Poulette is a female chick. Okay, like a young hen, right? So, but poussin is something that you might be served, which is like a young, what's the word? A young fowl. Anyway, talking about animals and their genders and their young animal names and stuff is quite confusing in French, but worth looking at if we haven't done that actually. So, les poules, talking about hens now, so this starts off with a plural noun. Les poules du means of the, so it's a bit like further up where we saw de la. Les Bizarreries de la Langue Française, of the. You can see it just there. Voilà, ici. Voilà. De la. Ooh, there you go. De la means of the, in front of something feminine, like la langue française. Du comes in front of a noun that's masculine. Okay, masculine singular. And it is called a combined or an articulated preposition. The preposition de. Peut-être qu'elle se réveille. En fait, non. She hasn't woken up. De plus le. So the noun here is couvent. Couvent, and it means convent or a monastery. So like the place where a nun or like a monk goes to like worship or live and worship the Lord. Okay. Le Seigneur. So de and le together make du. You shouldn't see de followed by le in French, and you shouldn't hear it. Okay, if a native speaker is saying, unless they're kind of doing a purposeful joke or something, you'll hear instead du, and it means of the or sometimes it can mean from the. Here I would say it means from the. Les poules du couvent, the hens from the convent. Couvent. Cou on its own means neck, and vent means le vent means wind. So if you're being really silly, you could say that that means neck wind, but it doesn't mean that. It means obviously a different word altogether. Couvent means convent. Les poules du couvent. Couvent. Now the next word, which looks the same as couvent, is actually a verb. Couve. C-O-U-V-E-N-T. Now I've got a feeling that this little kind of a line of that might appear in the film Amélie Poulain, where she's writing on a chalkboard at the beginning. But I haven't watched that for quite a while, so I might try and find that and see if it's from this, or whether it's just like a known homonym / pun. So, the hens of the convent. What does couve mean? If that's a verb which looks the same as the word couvent, but isn't a noun, it's a verb, what does it mean? Well, I can tell you that it means to brood, okay, or to sit on something like eggs, for example, or to incubate, okay, which are all sort of synonymous ways of saying, explaining what a hen does. They sit on their eggs, don't they? And the verb is couver. Couver, to brood, basically. To brood. So in the they form, il or elle couve. They, as in les poules. Les poules are the subject of this sentence here. Les poules du couvent couvent. The hens from the convent are brooding. So, the thing to mention there is that verbs in the they form, in the present tense, maybe in other tenses, but in the present tense definitely, when they end in ent, which they generally always do, not always actually, because you've got verbs like ils font, ils vont, they're irregular verbs. To have, no. Ah, ils sont, ils ont, yeah, all the ones that end ont, they're irregular. But apart from the irregular ones, lots of verbs conjugated in the present tense in the they form, il, elle, like that, will end with ent, especially the er verbs, and they're pronounced in the same way as the je, tu, il and elle forms, okay? For example, je mange, tu manges, il, elle mange, ils, elles mangent. Now I'm only pronouncing it ils and elles so that you know that I'm talking about the they form. Il, elle mange, il, elle chante, il, elle regarde, il, elle s'écoute. Okay? When you've got an il, elle followed by a verb that begins with a vowel like écoute, you pronounce yes. Il, elle s'écoute. That's called a liaison. So here are some examples of the peculiarities of the French language. We share portions, or we share portions. The hens of the convent brood. So it doesn't make any real sense, it doesn't have any impact if you just translate it into English, but the point is that the words look the same and sound different, okay? Nous portions les portions, les poules du couvent couvent. Let's look at the next one. Mes means my, followed by something plural. Mes fils ont cassé mes fils. Mes fils ont cassé mes fils. Mes, that means my, plural, something like that. And it's the same for something masculine or feminine. It's like les, but it is it's in the my form, okay? It's in the plural. Mon fils, ma fille, mes fils, mes enfants. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. You can think of it as being related to moi, or mon and ma, if you remember those already. It's a possessive adjective for a plural noun. That's what I was getting at. So this is the main word here that isn't pronounced in an obvious way. Fils, 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 like fleece. Fils. So that means my son. It can sometimes mean boy as well, but here it means son. Or sons, because it's plural. Mon fils would be my son, singular, one son, but here it's mes fils. So you pronounce it like this E sound, fils. Mes fils, so again, this starts off talking about they, as in my sons. It's the plural subject pronoun they, my sons. What have they done? Mes fils ont, they have, look, O-N-T, that's the verb avoir. Mes fils ont cassé, that's the verb to break, casser. It's an ER verb, so in the infinitive form it's C-A-S-S-E-R. Now, to make a past participle of an ER verb, I'll show you, because they're so common, casser, to break. Yeah, so there's the verb casser in the ER, in the infinitive form, that means with the ER on the end. There's the English, to break, and this is what you do. Take off the ER, add an E, put an accent aigu, an acute accent over that E, like that, and suddenly it means broke or broken. So if you're using it to describe something, it would be cassé, c'est cassé, oh yeah, it's broken, désolé, c'est cassé. But if you're saying they broke it, ils l'ont cassé. So it will appear in the, what tense is that? The passé composé, which is made up of two parts, well, at least two parts. You'll have a subject pronoun, which is actually part one, and then you'll have the first part of the tense, which is avoir, to have, in the present tense. That agrees with the subject of the sentence, so they have, because it's my sons have, they have, and then it's the past participle, so take the infinitive verb, add an E accent. Mes fils ont cassé. So what have my sons broken? They have broken mes, again, mes. Mes fils ont cassé mes fils. Mes fils, mes fils. Feel, like, it's pronounced like the verb to feel in English, but it's a noun. I've got loads of fils. Il y en a beaucoup sur le bureau, partout dans mon bureau en fait. So here's un fil, a cable, a wire. Okay, so these days, fil, les fils, they're everywhere because everyone's got lots of electronics, you know. So my sons broke my cables or my wires or whatever. Right, what's next? So this one here is il est, he or it is, il est, that's the verb être, de, that means of or from, il est de, that sounds just like the number 2 as well, de, il est de l'Est, L-E-S-T, but there's an accent, not an accent, an apostrophe between the L and the E-S-T, and we have a capital E there. That's because we're talking about the direction Nord, sud. Nord, sud, est, ouest. North, south, east, west. So l'est is the east. He or it is from the east. So il est, elle est. You don't pronounce the S or the T, it's just as if it's ES like that. E. But here we pronounce the S and the T. Est. Est. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Je vis. I had to really think about this one because when I was looking at it, I was thinking, the verb vivre doesn't make much sense, but then I realised something afterwards. Je vis, c'est vis. A bit like vis. So I should have one here, but I don't. So une tournevis, I think it's une tournevis, is a screwdriver, something that turns a screw. Let's just put tournevis, see if I can find it. Tournevis. It's just one word, it's not actually got a hyphen. C'est un tournevis. So, un tournevis, don't know why I thought that would be feminine. Un tournevis is a screwdriver, something that turns a screw. Therefore, vis is the noun screw. So there, that's une vis. So, une vis, a screw. You know, they appear in lots of things, don't they? I'm sure there's, if I pick something up, you might see une vis. I better not start playing with things in my office or it'll all just fall apart. So, initially I looked at this and I thought, oh, that's the verb vivre, which means to live. And it's in the present tense, but that doesn't make sense. I live or I experience these. C'est means these in the plural. It also rhymes with me and les. Les vis, mes vis, ses vis. The screws, my screws, these screws. Okay, so that's like a demonstrative pronoun. Okay, I think it's a demonstrative adjective maybe. Anyway, doesn't matter. The main thing is that we know that means screw. That is not the verb vivre. It's the verb. Well, you have a think about it while I get my pen. Le voilà, here it is. So it's actually a tense that I don't bother with very much these days, unless I'm reading an old book, or book about like fiction, French fiction, which rarely happens at the moment. But this is actually the verb voir, to see. But it's not in the present indicative, it's in the passé simple, which is talking about something that's happened a long time ago, or something that's placed in history and is sort of quite removed from the present. Often, you know, it's found in books that are talking about something that happened in the past, or something that takes place in like a fictional text. So, not always fictional, it could be talking about something historical. Okay, so it's just like a written tense mostly. So it does mean I see, or I saw from the verb voir, but in the passé simple. I saw these screws. I think that's correct anyway, otherwise it means I experience these screws, which doesn't really make much sense. Right, so penultimate line, sept. So sept is a bit like c'est, and it's the masculine demonstrative adjective, I guess. Let's just check what that actually is, because it's quite useful to double check these things. Sept. Yeah, it's an adjective. Yeah, demonstrative adjective. Okay, good. I like it when I get it right. Ce, cette, and c'est. So when we're talking about this and that, such and such, we've got 4. I think that's all of them. Yeah. Ce stylo, this pen, that's masculine singular, starts with a consonant. Cette, c'est quoi? Cette fille, or cette femme, this woman, that, or this girl. Cet homme. So homme is a masculine noun, but it starts with an H, which is kind of counted as a vowel. You might have a word like, no, it would just be a masculine noun that starts with a vowel, where you see this, because you can use the set, the feminine form, which means this, in front of any feminine noun. Ces means these, in front of any plural noun. Ces filles, ces hommes. If it's in front of a plural, it starts with an H, then you, or it starts with a vowel, plural, then you pronounce that S. Ces hommes. And weirdly, this word CES is homonymous with a few other words. SES means their, plural something, their children, for example, the children of those plural people, plural children of those plural people. Or it could mean, oh no. Son, ça, c'est. Okay, so that was my mistake. If you're talking about something plural, like ses enfants, son means his or her something singular masculine. Ça means his or her something singular feminine, like sa maison est très belle, his or her house is very lovely. Ses enfants sont génial. Non, génial n'est pas bien. Géniaux. Non. Ses enfants sont beaux. Voilà, c'est plus simple. His or her children are lovely. Right, I think I should try and wrap this up quickly before she actually does wake, and then I do have to leave in 5 minutes, so on y va, on va finir. Sept means this. Cet homme. This man is, cet homme est fier. This man is proud. Cet homme est fier. Right, let's see if I can get over here without the table down maybe a bit. Voilà, comme ça. Ça, c'est vraiment pas pratique là. Cet homme est fier. This man is proud. Good. Peut-on. Peut-on means can we or can one. It's impersonal. Peut means can, from the verb pouvoir. And then with a hyphen and the on, it becomes a question. Can one, can we? Si. Ignore that little Y pronoun. I. Okay, ignore it for now. When you've got a verb first, then a subject pronoun, like with a hyphen, it's a question. Peut-on, puis-je, ai-je, avez-vous, voulez-vous, that kind of thing, okay? It's like a question structure. Here we have a verb which is a reflexive verb, se fier, which means to trust in, to put your trust in someone, to trust. Now normally that verb is followed by the preposition a. Here though it's in its infinitive form, but we also have a little y pronoun, I. Peut-on s'y fier? Because it's referring to someone who's already been mentioned. Cet homme. Cet homme est fier. So there we've got the adjective fier, which means proud. And then we've got the same word, it looks like the same word, but it's pronounced fier. Peut-on se fier, or s'y fier, because the I refers back to cet homme. So instead of saying peut-on se fier à lui, can we trust in him? Can we trust him? We're pronouncing the à lui, or the cet homme, which has already been mentioned, with a little y. You also see that little y in sentences, not always just with aller, but aller is a common verb that uses it. So j'y vais means I'm going there. J'y vais demain. Je vais voir mes parents à Chepstow. J'y vais demain. I'm going to see my parents in Chepstow. À Chepstow. Okay, something that's introduced by the preposition à. J'y vais demain. I'm going there tomorrow. In that sentence, j'y vais demain. Let's write the whole thing. J'y vais demain. That little y, the y, is used to pronounce to replace à Chepstow. Je vais à Chepstow. J'y vais demain. I'm going there tomorrow. So it doesn't always mean there when you replace it. It replaces something which, like a phrase which is introduced by the preposition à. That again is a bit like the en pronoun that we saw earlier. Two pronouns in French that are used a lot. Might get confused and muddled up between them, but one introduces phrases introduced with the preposition de, and one replaces, phrases introduced by the preposition à. Basically, here we've got cet homme est fier, he is proud, this man is proud. Peut-on s'y fier, can we trust in him? Fier, fier. Incidentally, that's the masculine version of fier. The feminine version is F-I-E-R-E with an accent over the first E, little grave accent. Last one, and then I have to go, puis je dois aller. Je dois y aller, I have to go there. Nous éditions. Okay, let's see if I can get this in here somehow. Okay, let's see, just pop that down a little bit. Et voilà, comme ça, et ça. Toujours, je dois trouver notre endroit pour ça. Nous, so we. Very inclusive, this text. We. Nous et. I almost wrote étudiants here. I think that's what I was doing, but it's éditions. From the verb éditer, which means to edit or to amend or to change, or it could even mean to publish. Like l'édition is a sector of publishing. I used to work in publishing actually. So je travaillais dans l'édition. L'édition. Nous éditions de belles éditions. So this is like portions, which is an ER verb in the new form in the the imperfect tense, IONS ending, and then followed by a noun in the plural. Difficult to see that. Let's zoom in a tiny bit. Nous éditions, we were editing, or publishing, or used to edit, we used to publish, some nice, de belles, because it's ends with an S prior to a noun that starts with an E. Édition. Nous éditions de belles éditions. Now, why has it got de and then belles éditions instead of des and then belles éditions? Well, that happens sometimes when you're saying something, des éditions, some editions, like editions of texts or books or publications, but it's preceded, some publications, editions, preceded by an adjective. So, nous éditions de belles éditions. So, here we've got what looks like the same word, but this one is following a subject pronoun nous, and it's a verb, éditions, in the imperfect tense. De belles, that's some lovely, or some beautiful, some lovely, preceding a feminine plural noun, édition, which means edition, as in books or text. So here we've got the sion ending, like in portion, action, édition, and here we've got the IONS, édition. So voila, that tells you that homonyms, words that sound or look the same but are not necessarily homophonic, they're not, these ones here are written in the same way but pronounced differently and additionally have different meanings. So often there'll be, one of them will be a verb, the other will be an adjective or a noun, and you get the same kind of things being like cropping up, like the new form in the imperfect tense paired with plural feminine nouns that have this sion. These can form the basis of puns, jokes, interesting poems. Again, the content of this doesn't really translate very fluidly, it doesn't have much of an impact in English, only as a means of understanding what the actual meaning of the word is. But in French, you know, this is an interesting kind of bit of wordplay, basically. I'll continue with the second part of this video soon, whenever I get the chance, and hopefully I can finish it, wrap it up before this little one wakes, because we do need to leave right now. But thank you for watching, and thank you for your patience, and hope you enjoyed. I'll be sending over this handout in a, oh, you can't really see it now, I've scribbled on the back, a handout that looks a little bit like that. Here's another one with my notes on, so that you can see and fill in the gaps, so that you know whether you've understood the meaning of some of the nouns and adjectives, but also that you can maybe recall some of the infinitive verbs that we've seen here. We haven't seen them all in their infinitive form, but I've given you the infinitive form so that you can sort of refresh your mind with them. Anyway, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, et à la prochaine fois. See you next time, where we'll do the rest of this poem. That was Les Bizarreries de la Langue Française. Take care, guys. Au revoir.